So today we shall discuss about urinary antiseptics. So urinary antiseptics are nothing but these are the agents, these are the compounds which are used to treat infections which are mainly related with the urinary system. Now when we say urinary system, it means it includes kidney, ureter, bladder, and urethra, right? So whatever the infection related to the organs which are associated with the urinary system and the agents which are used to treat that particular infection, they are called as an urinary antiseptics. Now, some of the symptoms, common symptoms of urinary tract infection, it includes frequent urination. So there is an urge to urinate most oftenly. Then during urination, there is pain, there is burning sensation which is felt during UTI. Then there may be certain cases, if the infection is severe, there may be a loss of blood which may be there present or observed in the urine. Next, there is high urge for urination. One may constantly, or there may be a feeling to constantly urinate. Next symptom of UTI is there might be somewhat cloudy appearance of that of the urine, and there may be some typical foul which may be smelled of that particular urine. So whenever there is an infection, there may be, and that person may feel unwell. And yes, infection, it may accompany fever many a times. So these are some of the important symptoms of urinary tract infection. Next are, what are the predisposing factors, what are the essential factors due to which this particular urinary tract infection may take place. So it may be observed in patient, those are diabetes mellitus. Then UTI is many times related, or it may happen in the person for whom the process of catheterization is done. So catheterization is nothing but passing of a tube so that if a patient is hospitalized or any surgery is performed, or in elderly patient, many a time this catheterization is done through which the passage of this urine is then done. Next predisposing factor for UTI may be immunocompromised patient. If the immunity is less weak, in them also the chances of UTI are more. Yes, the use of drug, particularly the steroids, for long term, it may also lead to UTI. Kidney stones, lack of hygiene, and yes, even the use of public toilets, where the chances of spread of infection or the contact of the bacteria to that of the first exposed part, that is to the urethra, is maximum, and due to which the UTI may be enhanced. This is the next factor. The use of some other closed toilets, who may be having certain infection, and in this UTI is also seen during pregnancy. What are the urinary tract antiseptics, or we may also refer them as antimicrobials? So here if you will see, Escherichia coli is one of the most common pathogen which constitutes for around 80% of the cases for both upper as well as lower UTI. Now when we say upper UTI, it means it includes your kidney and ureter. And when we say lower UTI, it includes infection to that of the urethra and bladder. Next, common bacterial pathogen, second most common bacterial pathogen causing UTI is Staphylococcus saprophyticus. And other than that, there are some other organisms like Klebsiella pneumoniae and Proteus mirabilis, which leads to this urinary tract infection. Now, whatever the treatment is there for treating this urinary tract infection, so it includes many agents or one of a agent from a particular group, like some agents of that of fluoroquinolones are used, some of the agent from beta-lactam antibiotics may be used, and other than that, yes, sulfonamides or cotrimoxazole, they are also used to treat urinary tract infection. And there are some specific agents including methenamine, nitrofurantoin, which are also used to treat this particular urinary tract infection. So whatever the drugs which are used to treat urinary tract infection, remember their main target site is the urinary system. So these agents, when given or when administered, they do not achieve their antibacterial levels in the circulation. Rather, they get concentrated in the urine. And as they get concentrated in the urine, what are the microorganisms which are present and which are causing this infection at the urinary system, this particular microorganisms are effectively eradicated, or you can say killed, in order to show their action to cure urinary tract infection. Now, the first drug which is used, there are many drugs we'll be discussing, but the important one, if you'll see the methenamine, so chemically it is hexamethylene tetramine. Now, this drug, when given, when administered, it is inactive as such. After administration, this drug, it decomposes slowly in the acidic urine to form or to release formaldehyde. And this formaldehyde, after decomposition of methenamine, is the one which is going to now inhibit the bacteria. So this is what is the MOA of this particular drug. After administration, this drug decomposes slowly in the acidic urine to release formaldehyde, and then which in turn inhibits whatever the bacteria which causes urinary infection over there. You can see over here, to act this drug, as you said earlier, that it decomposes at acidic pH, particularly in the range of 5.5 or less, which then produce formaldehyde. And remember that this particular formaldehyde which is released after the decomposition of methenamine, it acts locally, and it is particularly toxic to the most of the bacteria. Now here one thing should be kept in mind, that like I saw it, that one of the predisposing factor for urinary tract infection was catheterization. Now, methenamine should not be given in the patient with an indwelling catheters. The indwelling catheters means, indwelling means, first of all, it means inside your body. So this catheter drains urine from your bladder into a bag outside your body. Now in case of indwelling catheter, this methenamine is not used to treat that particular infection. Probably to treat that particular bacterial infection, this drug is less effective. There are other drugs which can just obviously show their effectiveness over there. Now, one of the important things over here to remember is that bacteria, unlike most of the antimicrobial agents, we know that they produce or they develop resistance. In this case, bacteria, they do not develop resistance to formaldehyde, and it doesn't, as this drug, it doesn't show any resistance. So due to that, this drug can be used to treat many of the bacterial infections which may cause urinary tract infection. And this drug methenamine, it is frequently formulated with weak acid, particularly the mandelic acid or hippuric acid. And in order to reduce the urinary pH, ascorbic acid and cranberry juice have been used. So the antibacterial spectrum of this drug, if you see, so first of all, it is primarily used for chronic suppressive therapy. Now, urea splitting bacteria that alkalize the urine, such as protease species, are usually resistant to the action of methenamine. Which one? The urea splitting bacteria. Now, why they are resistant? They are resistant because they are splitting the urea and it causes or it leads to the alkalization of the urine. And for this drug, methenamine, in order to show its action, it is important that it should have an acidic pH where it will decompose to form formaldehyde. Next, methenamine is used to treat lower UTI, that is infection which is associated with the urethra and bladder, and is not effective in upper UTI. This methenamine, it is most useful to treat infection which are caused by Escherichia coli. But other than that, yes, it can also suppress the other bacteria or organisms or pathogens which can cause urinary tract infection. So if you see the pharmacokinetic of this drug, yes, it is administered orally. Now, in addition to formaldehyde, that is after decomposition, formaldehyde is formed, but other than that, even ammonium ion is produced in the bladder. Now, this particular drug methenamine, it is metabolized by the liver, which produces ammonia to form urea. And due to that, because this drug produces formaldehyde, then ammonium ion metabolized by the liver, where ammonia is converted to form urea. So due to that, this drug methenamine, it is contraindicated, or it has to be not used in patients with hepatic insufficiency. So why? Because in patient with hepatic insufficiency, high levels or increased levels of circulating ammonium ions are present, and this may produce certain toxic effects to the CNS. Distribution, yes, it is throughout the body fluids. But one thing is that it doesn't decompose, or the decomposition of the drug does not occur at pH 7.4. And due to that, whatever the systemic toxicity is there, obviously it will be not take place. And the elimination, the drug, it is eliminated in the urine. So this is about its pharmacokinetics. Coming to the adverse effect. So major adverse effect includes certain gastrointestinal distress, like nausea might be there might be some vomiting and so on. But at high doses, it may develop certain adverse effects like albuminuria, that is high amount of albumin in the that is your urine, hematuria, that is presence of blood in the urine, and rashes may develop. Next, methenamine mandellate, it is contraindicated in patients with renal insufficiency. Why? Because in this case, mandelic acid, it may precipitate, and it may again lead to certain other complications related to the urinary system. Now we have seen that even sulfonamides and clotrimazole, they are also used for urinary tract infection, but they should not be used along with methenamine, because sulfonamides and clotrimazole, they react with formaldehyde, and if they are used along with this, that is methenamine, if it is used along with sulfonamides and clotrimazole, there might be an increased risk of formation of crystalluria and mutual antagonism. Okay, they may show or they may antagonize their action. Next drug, that is nitrofurantoin. So it is bacteriostatic, but at high doses it may show bactericidal action. And its activity, it is enhanced, it is increased at lower pH. Now, this particular drug nitrofurantoin, it inhibits gram-negative bacteria, but resistance to this drug has been developed, and due to that, this particular drug, it is now restricted mostly to treat infections which are caused by E. coli. Whatever the resistance to the use of this drug nitrofurantoin, it develops slowly, and no cross resistance with any other antimicrobial agent is known. Now it antagonizes the bactericidal action of nalidixic acid. Okay, so this is like one of the interaction. It antagonizes the bactericidal action of nalidixic acid. Nalidixic acid is also one of the important drug which is used for the treatment of treating this urinary tract infection. Now, what are the susceptible bacteria? Whatever the, if you see the mechanism of action of nitrofurantoin, how does it actually show its action is that whatever the susceptible bacteria is there, they enzymatically reduce nitrofurantoin to generate reactive intermediates, and this reactive intermediate in turn then damages the DNA of the bacteria. So whenever the nitrofurantoin is administered, whatever the bacteria are there, the bacteria which causes infection, this bacteria, what do they do? Enzymatically, they reduce nitrofurantoin to generate reactive intermediates, and these intermediates which are then formed by the enzymatic action of the bacteria, it further damages their own DNA. Okay, so this is what is the MOA of nitrofurantoin. Coming to the pharmacokinetics, so nitrofurantoin is well absorbed orally. It is rapidly metabolized in liver and other tissues. It is excreted. Less than half of quantity of the drug is excreted unchanged in urine, and T half is 30 to 60 minutes. Whatever the antibacterial concentrations are there that are not attained in blood or tissues, so antibacterial concentrations are observed only in the urine. Now, whatever the drug probenecid, it inhibits the tubular secretion of this and reduces the concentration which is attained in the urine, and due to that, as it decreases inhibits the tubular secretion, this drug, it may interfere with its urinary antiseptic action. So whatever the renal excretion is there, it is reduced in azotamic patient. Renal excretion is reduced in azotamic. Now, what do you know by azotamic? Azotamic means is a condition in which there is more nitrogen which is observed in the urine of that particular patient. So that are called as an azotamic patient. So renal excretion of this drug is reduced in azotamic patient. Effective concentration may not be reached due to that in urine, and at the same time, whatever the toxicity is there, it is also enhanced. Yes, this drug is contraindicated in renal failure, pregnancy, and also in the neonates. Adverse effects of nitrofurantoin includes gastrointestinal intolerance, including nausea, epigastric pain, and diarrhea. Other than that, some acute reactions like chills, fever, and leukopenia, that is decrease in leukocyte count, occurs occasionally. Sometimes some patients, particularly with long-term use, may develop peripheral neuritis and neurological effects. Peripheral neuritis, that is inflammation of the peripheral nerve. Hemolytic anemia may be also seen, but it is very, very rare. Other than that, next adverse effect is that this drug may cause liver damage and pulmonary reaction where fibrosis may be developed. Now, whatever the patient, those who are administered or those who take this nitrofurantoin, the urine turns dark brown, particularly on exposure to air. Uses of nitrofurantoin is that it is used in uncomplicated lower UTI, but it is infrequently used now, particularly due to the resistance which has been developed by many bacteria. So acute infection due to Escherichia coli can be treated with 50 to 100 milligram TDS given for 5 to 10 days. And suppressive long-term treatment has been successful with 50 milligram of dose, that is BD 2 times a day. Then it is employed for prophylaxis of UTI when catheterization or instrumentation of the lower urinary tract is performed. So if the pipe or if the catheter has to be passed for external discharge of the urine, so for prophylaxis, so that the infection should not take place, for that particular purpose, this drug is found to be useful clinically. Now, other than this, there are most drugs or most UTIs can be treated by gram-negative bacteria, especially coliforms. So particularly antimicrobial regimens for acute UTI. So other than methenamine and nitrofurantoin, there are some other drugs which are given, like norfloxacin is there, ciprofloxacin is there, which are from the fluoroquinolone class. Then cotrimoxazole, which we already discussed. You can see the dose of the drug which is administered. Then some beta-lactam cephalosporin like cephalaxin, cefodoxime proxetine, that is also found to be effective in treating most of the urinary tract infection. Then amoxicillin is there, which is also amoxicillin plus clavulanic acid. That drug is also useful for treating UTI. At the bottom, you can see that nitrofurantoin, for upper UTI, the same drugs may be given for 10 to 14 days. So what are the drugs which you can observe on the screen? For upper urinary tract infection, these drugs can be administered for 10 to 14 days. And the drug that is nitrofurantoin, this drug, it is not suitable for pyelonephritis. Now, pyelonephritis is also, it is one of the severe and sudden kidney infection. So there, to treat that particular pyelonephritis, nitrofurantoin is not suitable or not effective. What are the status of antimicrobial agents other than urinary tract and antiseptics? Is okay. So we'll see some drugs other than urinary tract antiseptics, particularly the antimicrobial agents like sulfonamides. So dependability in acute UTI has decreased. So this is again mainly due to the resistance with the use of sulfonamides. But anyway, it can be used clinically, occasionally for suppressive and prophylactic therapy. If a particular drug, if it fails, if it cannot treat a particular infection, in those patients, sulfonamides can be given. Yes, obviously next is the cotrimoxazole combination of sulfamethoxazole plus trimethoprim. So it is employed empirically in acute UTI without bacteriological data. Now, empirical means what? So empirical therapy is medical treatment or therapy based on experience of that of the physician, where therapy is started on the basis of a clinical knowledge which that particular physician has. A cotrimoxazole, as the use, or there are some reports that cotrimoxazole may have an increased risk of congenital anomalies if used during pregnancy, so it has to be avoided in pregnancy. Next are the quinolones. So particularly the first generation fluoroquinolones like norfloxacin and ciprofloxacin are highly effective. Even nalidixic acid is also employed. And remember that fluoroquinolones are highly valuable in complicated cases. Those with prostatitis, that is inflammation of the prostate gland, or indwelling catheters. So methenamine, the drug, it was not effective in indwelling catheters, but fluoroquinolones are effective in treating the infections of an indwelling catheters. But again, the fluoroquinolones should not be given to the pregnant women. Again, the chances or the increased risk with that of the fetus is observed. Next drug which is used, that is semi-synthetic penicillin antibiotic, that is floxacillin, whose use is restricted particularly in penicillinase producing staphylococcal infection, and which is one of the uncommon bacteria which may cause this urinary tract infection. Cephalosporins, cephalaxin, these drugs are used, or the use is increasing particularly in the women with nosocomial Klebsiella and Proteus infection. Next drug from the aminoglycoside class, that is gentamicin. It is very effective against most urinary pathogens, including Pseudomonas. But however, these drugs, aminoglycosides, if we study, we will be studying it later on. Aminoglycoside, these are the drugs which have a very narrow margin of safety. So due to that, parenteral administration is essential, where close monitoring of the dose is essential. So its use has to be done only if in vitro bacteriological sensitivity testing is done. The drug, that is gentamicin. So this is all about the urinary tract antiseptic agents